Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing this mini PC right here. It's the GMKtec EVO-X2, and it features the best iGPU in the market right now for gaming. Let's go over its specs first, and this is a monster of a mini PC. It's not as mini as usual either, but that's good because that means that it has a good cooling solution for that Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 APU. This features 16 cores and 32 threads, up to 5.1 GHz, so it's a beast of a CPU, very adequate for pretty much everything you throw at it, including rendering and video editing and really intensive CPU workloads. And I'll leave the Cinebench 2024 results right here that I got, as well as CPU-Z results. Alongside with that awesome CPU, we got 64 gigabytes of RAM. Yes, guys, you heard it right, 64 gigabytes of DDR5. And not only that, this is really fast RAM at 8,000 megatransfers per second. And that is amazing for the iGPU, of course. This unit also came with a 1TB SSD and that Radeon 8060S iGPU. This is a 40-core RDNA 3.5 GPU, and it roughly matches, at least in some games, the RTX 4060 desktop GPU. All of this hardware will cost you 1,500 euros, which is quite expensive for a mini PC, but it could still be better value for gaming compared to the competition. So I'm really excited to see how that performs. But let's go over the PC ports first. Now on the front, things get really interesting because we got the power button, the performance mode button. This switches between eco, balanced, and performance modes. I use the performance mode in every game tested in this video because, you know, it gives you the best performance, of course. Below that, we find an SD card slot, which I always love to see in mini PCs. This is a very good inclusion. It makes my life easier. It makes a lot of people's lives easier as well. You don't need to use adapters and everything. Below that, we find the first USB 4 port, two USB 3.2 ports, and the headphone jack or headset jack. Moving to the back of the device, we find a power plug, another headset jack, which is very weird. I think this is the first time that I've seen two headphone jacks in a single mini PC. Then we have a 2.5 gigabit LAN port, another USB 3.2, the second USB 4.0 Type-C port, one display port 1.4, one HDMI 2.1, and two USB 2.0 ports. So in terms of I/O, there's plenty of it. Oh, and there's also a fan mode button right here, which every time I click that, it doesn't seem to do anything, so there's that. At least audio levels and temperatures stay the same, so I don't know. And that's enough intro, let's play some games on the Ryzen AI Max 395. Shall we? And first up we got Dying Light, the beast, guys. It's playing above 60 frames per second at the moment, as you can see, and it's looking great at the same time. I'm playing at 1080p resolution using TAAU on native, and no frame generation at the moment, and the medium quality settings, which still have a lot of things on high, as you can see, like the texture quality, for example. And well, with these settings, the game manages to look great and achieve a decent frame rate. As you can see there, it's dropping sometimes into the 50s, which is a little bit of a shame. The frame time graph isn't the most stable. I've seen it more stable with dedicated GPUs, you know. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad experience. It isn't. It is actually really smooth still. Also, if you lock the FPS, you won't see any jitters anymore on the frame time graph, which is going to be nicer. But if you enable frame generation, that doesn't happen as well. So FG will not only smooth out the gameplay by a lot, but also remove stuttering issues that we're seeing here. Just micro stuttering. It's not really the end of the world, but I prefer it without it, of course. So let's enable FSR here. This is 2x frame generation, and as you can see, the frame time graph is a little bit more stable, and the smoothness is much improved, my friends. I mean, I was playing the game for a little bit before recording this video here on the 8060S, and I was really impressed with the smoothness because I started with frame generation enabled. Upon disabling it, I was not impressed anymore, but look at that. It's now back to really good 1% lows. Average FPS are buttery smooth here on this 144Hz monitor. It feels nice, it looks nice. Input lag wise, oh my god, there isn't much to be fair, guys. Like, this is a pretty impressive implementation of frame generation, probably the best FG from FSR that I've seen so far. My gosh, we're seeing a lot of zombies here. As long as you get like 95 plus FPS all of the time with FG enabled, I think input lags are totally acceptable, and they're pretty low actually. But if it starts dropping, which was the case on high settings with FG, it was getting like 70 FPS, sometimes 80s, then you start noticing a lot of input lag, which sucks. Oh my god. Okay, but jeez, there are so many of them here. But yeah, guys, as you can see, pretty stable experience, really enjoyable, and this iGPU means business for sure. And this is Borderlands 4, guys. Getting 40-ish frames per second, low 40s, which is not half bad for the game that this is. This is extremely demanding, of course, extremely unoptimized, and this is an iGPU. So the fact that we're getting 40-ish frames per second with some decent graphical fidelity at the same time is nothing short of amazing. I'm at 1080p resolution, once again, utilizing the medium settings preset with FSR full resolution, so it's native AA here, which is less intensive for some reason than if you disable this altogether. Frame generation is turned off, and this is it, as you can see. Now, you could play the game absolutely fine with 40-something frames per second. It feels alright in terms of input latency and so on. It actually feels a little bit more responsive than some other games with the same FPS, and this is all without frame generation, by the way. But this is actually really close to the RTX 4060 that I tried in this game recently as well. Yeah, I'm really surprised. Like, this is an iGPU. I gotta keep reminding myself that this is an iGPU because the performance is basically the same as an actual dedicated card. And not only that, we can allocate whatever memory we want to the iGPU itself to use as VRAM, you know. But yeah, if you end up with a configuration like this where you have more than 32 gigabytes of RAM, you can actually just set a ridiculous amount of it for VRAM to use as VRAM, and that will also be super handy. Oh my gosh, so much loot. But anyway, when we were fighting the Jacks and the King of Jacks, I saw a major stutter there. It could be just game related since the game isn't well optimized whatsoever, and it does that sometimes, and I've seen some insane stuttering issues even with the RTX 5090, 5080s and so on. But in Dying Light, for example, I saw a few more stutters than usual as well, so it could be iGPU related. You know, like, you're using RAM as VRAM after all. It's not as fast as dedicated VRAM. But yeah, that could be just a little bit of a drawback compared to an actual dedicated GPU. But still, as you can see, guys, 45 FPS average is what we got at the end of it. 36 1% lows. It's plays all right. It looks really good on medium settings as well, this game, with the Lumen stuff and so on enabled. Well, you can't really disable Lumen, but it looks great, right? I wouldn't really go down to low settings because then it starts looking really bad. It removes grass and so on, and that's a big part of the game. But let's try it with a little bit of frame generation as well. And this is where things become a bit weird, especially if you are playing with mouse and keyboard. Because if you're playing with a controller, for example, I think like 80 plus or 75 plus FPS here with frame generation enabled in this title will feel really good. You can barely tell the input lag difference with the controller, at least I can't. It's much more bearable, you know. But if you're playing with mouse and keyboard, which I think a lot of you will play this with mouse and keyboard since it's a first-person shooter, yeah, this is where the frame generation doesn't really feel that good in terms of input lag. I can tell a major difference right now because it's FSR FG as well. Now, what can you do to improve on this? Well, you could use some quality FSR, for example. First of all, let me try it without frame generation, just in this little area here. And as you can see, it bumps things up from like low 40s into the low 60s here. It's also a lot more shimmery, as you can see here. But if you're okay with that trade-off, and I mean, upscalers don't really look all that terrible in this particular title, given the art style of it, you know, the black outlines over everything. Yeah, this is definitely not too bad, especially on like a 24-inch 1080p monitor. And now we're getting those sweet 60 frames per second, which is quite nice. Obviously, it'll still drop in boss fights and so on, but it's a lot more stable than 45 frames. And now this is where frame generation will kick in and bump it up to 110 plus frames per second or something like that, you know. And this way, I would be completely fine using frame generation. This is a really smooth experience without major input lag, and it works fine for a first-person shooter game that's single player. If it was multiplayer, competitive, and so on, obviously frame gen doesn't really have a place there, in my opinion. But this works really well here because it's single player, co-op or whatever. And yeah, you can control your aim really well still with the frame generation from FSR, as long as your baseline FPS are at around 60 frames, or like 50 plus basically all of the time, which is the case if you use FSR quality. The only big complaint that I have is not so much a complaint about the performance, because performance is fine, as you can see. It's more about the visuals, because we've seen with FSR 4 that AMD is capable of providing a good upscaler to the 9000 series GPUs. And since this is an RDNA 3.5 GPU, it doesn't have FSR 4, it only has FSR 2 or 3. And the visuals with this version of FSR are way worse than they would be with FSR 4. Please, AMD, add FSR 4 or FSR 3.8 or something like that to these GPUs, because they deserve it. You know, 7000 series owners and 6000 series owners also deserve it. Come on. Next is Counter-Strike 2. I'm playing this one at 1080p resolution, utilizing the low settings with high textures, and that's about it. No FSR as well. And well, these are competitive settings, guys, and I'm curious to see how this CPU will handle the game, because this is more of a CPU-bound title after all. So let's go with the AWP first, see if I can hit some flick shots here and there. Alright, the guy there. There we go. Start counting our FPS. Good stuff. Alright, beautiful AWP, by the way. Really love this skin. Oh, yes. Alright, here we go. Goodbye, sir. There's a guy there. Come on. There we go. Got him. Oh, no, not from behind. No, not you. Max. Flippin' Max, dude. Let's go. Let's go. We can do this. Maybe not. Maybe I need to go with the AK-47, my friends, to reach like third place. Third place would be fine on these death matches, I think, because these people are pretty high level at this point. Oh! All right, let's go. Come on, all right. There we go. Oh, come on. Yes! 4 kills there. Just like that. See that? So I'm not feeling the AWP here today, my friends, apparently. But the AK, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Come on. Come on. There it is. All right. zWORMz está okay. Aha! All right, so someone actually recognized us in the chat, my friends, in the game. That's awesome. Let's go. Interessant, deze miljoen RAM. Oh, thank you so much, dude. Okay. All right, there we go. Come on. All right, come on. Another one. Drink is down. All right, another one. Let's go. Reload. I don't want to get out of ammo. Okay, never mind. Woo, I'm feeling it today, my friend. I'm moving really fast here. Not hitting all of the shots, though, but it's not the system's fault, obviously. Performance is super adequate, going back to that talk, because, yeah, we're here testing the performance, obviously. Come on! Oh, that was so bad. I wish it was a little bit better, though. It seems like the CPU is definitely a big bottleneck here in a game like this, at least in deathmatch with a ton of people playing it as well. So this is a full server, as you can see. In competitive matches, you should be getting more FPS, by the way. But the good thing about having a CPU bottleneck in this game is that GPU isn't maxed out. And whenever the GPU isn't maxed out, God damn it. You can actually, 3 of them, seriously? You can actually have lower input lag as a result. Oh boy. And that's the most important thing in a game like Counter-Strike. Obviously, very smooth refresh rates are also very good to have, but you can run this game competitively, absolutely, and play the game and reach a really high level with a mini PC like this, which is awesome as well. Right, 3 minutes on the clock. We're already third place, so maybe I can go back to the... there we go. Oh my god, okay. Oh, there's another one! Oh my... So many, dude! There are so many of them. Okay, alright. Oh, we're fine. Okay. No! Alright, got him. Well, it wasn't me, but somebody else got him. And I got the assist. There we go, I got that one. There's a guy here. 4 bullets. That's enough. 2 bullets. No! Whoa! Come on. Okay. Low HP. That's terrible. I need this. We're first place, guys. I'm gonna go back to the AWP just to give the other guys a chance, you know, because I wasn't doing as well with the AWP in this one. Yeah, see, it's all about helping other people. I don't need to be first place. Maybe they're gonna be happier than I will be if they're first place. So I'm gonna give away my first place in the name of Flick Shots. Okay, let's see. These are my doors. This is my place. Nobody can come here. All right, it's all good. Okay, another one. Come on, more. No, how did that miss? All right, anyway, guys, that's it. 178 FPS average, 91% lows. It's really good. I thought it was going to be a little bit faster, but I mean, you can play at a really high level with this. Next is Cyberpunk 2077 at 1080p resolution, utilizing the high settings preset without resolution scaling and without these options right here. I disabled those, motion blurs and so on, but everything else is set to high. But let's go ahead and start counting our FPS. It seems like our GPU utilization is not maxing out. Look at that, it's at 90-ish% utilization, but not 99%, so that indicates once again maybe a slight CPU bottleneck somewhere, or maybe bandwidth bottleneck or RAM bottleneck, something like that. But yeah, the fact of the matter is GPU is not maxing out, but it's still consuming 120 watts. It's not really a major deal because the game isn't stuttering or anything and the performance is quite good. Let's go. Okay. So sorry, person. Oh man, we ran someone over. That's terrible. I just wanted to kill Bob, you know, not a civilian doing his job or business, whatever. Goodbye, Bob! There we go. Also, this area is pretty intensive, by the way, and we're getting down into the low 60s at times, so that makes me quite confident that it won't really drop from 60 FPS, even in a more GPU-intensive scenario, you know, because something else is the limiting factor of performance here, not really our GPU. Now, I can make it, and I will make it a lot smoother by utilizing frame generation. Let's do that. I'm still running native resolution here, and no FSR, by the way, because this is FSR 3.1 FG. And although the experience was already amazing previously, with frame generation, it bumps it up a notch, in my opinion. Like, look at this. It's now well above 120 FPS pretty much at all times. Frame time graph is a little bit flatter as well. There's no perceivable stutter at all, even while moving the camera really fast like I did there. And it's just gonna be a really solid experience like this. You could possibly even utilize some ray tracing now that I think of it. And, you know what? Let's do that. Because this iGPU can actually render ray tracing. It's not a very good idea usually with iGPUs because it's a very intensive technology, of course. But I mean, we do have some headroom there, right? Like, we're getting 137 average at the moment. Running around here, or driving around here actually, we get more than double the frame rates that we were seeing before. That's because, again, since something else was bottlenecking our system here, not the GPU, the frame generation actually allowed the GPU to stretch its legs a little bit more, getting over 90% GPU usage almost all of the time at this point. And in my opinion, it just improves the experience here in this particular title, guys. I'm really liking this. But let's try it with a bit of that ray tracing, okay? I'm gonna do like... I shouldn't do Ray Tracing Ultra, but I kind of want to. But for that, I guess we'll need some FSR 2.1 on quality. This actually ends up looking quite bad, but you know what? Let's try this out. Okay, let's try this out. I'm gonna disable what I don't like here. This is it. Oh, man. Oh, that's... It still feels pretty responsive, actually. More responsive than the other games like Borderlands 4 and Dying Light. Maybe it's because it's a third-person game. I can't really notice it that much. Well, it's first-person once you get out of the car, though. But it is still playable. And, I mean, we're running ray tracing on an iGPU with 80 FPS plus. Now, it actually doesn't look as good as high settings, in my opinion, even though we got all of the ray tracing effects going on at the moment, reflections and so on, the lighting. Lighting does look quite a bit better, but the reflections do look worse because we don't have any ray reconstruction going on here. So even though this is playable of an experience in terms of frame rates and really smooth for ray tracing with an iGPU, and it's well beyond my expectations right now. But I still wouldn't utilize it because, again, of that look from FSR. If it was FSR 4, it would be a completely different story once again. But now I'm curious, guys. Now I'm curious about native resolution with frame generation. It's probably gonna suck a lot. Yep, 50s. I mean, honestly, surprisingly, input lag is not too terrible, but I think frame gen is kind of falling apart at this point, and it's not working as intended because this doesn't feel like 50 FPS, especially when I'm moving the mouse the mouse around. So this is not a good idea, guys, even though this actually makes the visuals look a lot better and the ray tracing quality of the reflections and so on look a lot better as well because we disabled FSR, you know. But yeah, that's about it, I think. Maybe I should disable a frame generation altogether now, just to check it out. And yeah, this is the baseline, 20s. That's awful. But it's also ray tracing ultra. And now it's time to test The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. This game looks insane, especially in this area, the Seattle forest area. It's so good looking, so dense in terms of vegetation as well, and it performs pretty well at the same time. It's a well-optimized game. We're at 1080p resolution using FSR 3.1 native AA, so it's still native, of course, and these are the high settings with very high texture quality and 16 times anisotropic filtering. Start counting our FPS, and I doubt it will drop from 60 frames since I've played quite a bit of the game already, and this is one of the most intensive areas that I've come across so far, especially for the GPU to render, and in this game you're likely going to be GPU bound all of the time. It's a linear single player game that's well optimized once again, and this isn't really a very super high-end GPU, you know. The 8060S is doing a great job once again. Close performance, if not better performance to dedicated GPUs. Again, if AMD were utilizing FSR 4 with this, it would make such a big difference, because even in terms of anti-aliasing here in this title, I can notice a difference between FSR 3 and 4. 4 just looks way nicer, but we don't really have access to it as of yet, at least. But anyway, guys, as you can see in this one, there's no need to utilize any frame generation or anything like that, upscaling. It just works really well, and it's a fantastic experience. Now it's Call of Duty Warzone. We're at 1080p resolution, utilizing the minimum settings preset with 1080p native res, Fidelity FX cast to sharpen the image, high textures, and everything else is left to the preset. And I'm gonna drop down here in downtown. Frame time graph is extremely smooth there. And I expect nothing else, because this game's quite easy to run these days, actually. Alright, so let's start counting our FPS, and hopefully not get killed instantly. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. Lots of people dropped here as well. Okay, there they are. One down. Two down. Let's reload. That's another one, of course. Well, at least we got two. Now, guys, I noticed something weird up there, and I'm noticing it again down here. Why is it that the textures aren't loading? Like, what the heck is this? This wasn't the case in the previous game that I tried on it, so I'm just gonna restart the game. If it happens again, well, it happens. Alright guys, here we go. It seems like the textures have loaded already this time around. So it was just a one-off, but very interesting, right? I've never seen that before in this one. Anyway, let's go. Start counting the FPS already. Seems like we're gonna get 100-ish frames in this area, which has a lot of people dropping as well. Over here, it drops slightly from 100 FPS. This is a little bit unexpected once again to see like 60% GPU utilization here and 30% CPU utilization, and seeing like down into the 100s and so on. It's still very playable of an experience, of course, and for an iGPU, again, it's great performance, but I expected better, and if it was utilizing the entire GPU here, it would be better. But I guess it's probably the balance between CPU and GPU utilizations here that AMD needs to make with these APUs, of course, that sometimes chooses to allocate a little bit more towards the CPU, and other times it chooses to allocate a little bit more power towards the GPU. But that's to say that it's completely normal for an APU configuration, and well, the performance is what matters here, and that is quite nice. It is a high refresh rate experience. It feels very responsive once again. Alright, 2 snipers looking at us. Seriously, see, this is why I don't like this game. People just camp in these buildings and so on, and they don't move. They stay there, looking at you go around the map, benchmarking things. It's not for me. Oh boy, back to a UE5 title, guys. This is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, and we're playing this at 1080p high settings, alright, because it looks so much better than medium in this one, and FSR native AA, so this is still native resolution at 1080p. Seems like it's a little bit more stable of an experience than the last time that I tried this title, guys, because yeah, we're still seeing some instability there in the frame time graph, some stuttering, but maybe it's not as bad as it was before, although right now, as we progress over here to this new area and we start loading it and so on, yeah, traversal stutter starts happening, and there's no running away from it in this particular game, guys. It's a shame. Okay, now we're inside of this town area, which is usually pretty intensive as well, especially over here. And why is the water looking like that? On high settings, it didn't used to look like this. Or maybe it did. No, I'm pretty sure it looked better on high settings previously. What the heck? I'm pretty sure the water only looked like this on medium settings, without many reflections and so on. And now on high settings it looks better. So I guess they adjusted the settings preset here, guys, to make it run better. Well, run better, because it's probably running the same, but yeah, they just lowered the high preset. What the hell, dude? We can still enable some frame generation. In this title, it makes quite a big difference, once again, as it does in some other games that we've tested already. And it flattens the frame time graph by so much that I think it's totally worth utilizing, even though it does add quite a bit of input lag that is noticeable here. I can notice it a lot, but it's not too bad, since this game can be played in third person. Even in first person it's fine, although a little bit meh. But this smooths out things so much that I would honestly choose to play like this. Alright, like over here, the FPS are definitely quite a lot worse, 70s, 80s, but the mouse movements and so on still feel okay to me. I can see a lot of artifacting though, when I'm running fast, especially around the sword there, because of frame generation. It was still noisy previously, without the frame generation, of course, just by the nature of the game, but yeah, I mean, I think FG does enhance the experience a little bit in this one. Oh, this guy's singing, guys. He sings so well. This could be Bob in this game. And you know what we do to Bobs? We kill them. Goodbye, Bob! There we go. Beautiful. The finals is up next, guys. We're playing at 1080p using FSR native AA and the high settings here. I'm a helicopter, look at that. Big ol' helicopter. Oh, so shiny, dude. Damn. This is all without ray tracing. I disabled that. Okay. So that's why it's running very well, by the way. But yeah, it still looks really, really good. I wonder how some companies like Bethesda with the Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered How could they implement such terrible screen space reflections in that game? It's just, it boggles my mind, honestly. Oh my god, there are enemies right in front of us. Hello. My guys are also AFK. What are you doing? Are you enabling cheats? What is that? What the heck, bro? No, I think he's enabling a mouse. That's what he's enabling. What the heck, dude? Gotta kill the big one first. Well, this one isn't even looking at us. What is going on? Okay. Alright, now you. You are next. He's trying to defib me. Come on, there we go. We got him. Good, good, good. But yeah, this game is UE5, as I told you. It looks pretty, although quite simplistic in its art style and like the maps and so on. But it doesn't need more than this. It runs well. And for a first-person multiplayer competitive shooter, it's awesome. Because sometimes we don't see them running very well, unfortunately. Oh man, especially in this engine, once again. But the Finals developers, Embark Studios, they're doing a great job with optimization here. It's one of the few games that doesn't stutter in this engine, or it doesn't stutter too much at least. And you can have a competitive experience even with an iGPU like this one. I say even. I'm used to saying even with an iGPU, you know, but this one is quite fast. So, yeah, it should be getting very good experiences, and it is, right? It shows 69 FPS, 1% lows. I mean, could it be more perfect than that? Obviously not, right? This guy's still trying to connect his mouse. Now let's see Jack in GTA 5. We're at 1080p resolution using the very high ray tracing settings. So RT is enabled on very high. I also enabled this option right here, which makes reflections look a lot better. We're using FSR3 native AA, which is pretty intensive as well. And these are the rest of the settings. I disabled motion blur and depth of field as well. And well, guys, we're getting around 60 frames per second here, which is definitely super playable, obviously, and enjoyable and very smooth and so on. However, since we're getting 60 FPS here, I already know that it will drop in Jack's hill. And if you're like me and you play GTA 5 just to go visit Jack, you might not enjoy the drops from 60 FPS too much. But that doesn't mean it's unplayable, of course. It's going to be a great experience pretty much everywhere in the map, even in grassy areas. When it drops, it should be okay, right? So no issues there. And you know what, guys? I think this is extremely impressive because this is still native 1080p resolution. We're not using upscaling. This is ray tracing performance on an iGPU, which is incredible. Like, oh my god, no! We didn't get to Jack's hill! Well, I guess we're gonna visit Jack during the night here. It's a beautiful sunset right now, actually. It's not fully dark yet. Let's go. Ooh, that's a really nice car. You know what? You know what? I want that. Oh, no, 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 no. You bastard. Oh, okay. I got a gun. I got a gun. Get out of here. Get out of here. No, 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 no. Not with your car. Stop it. All right. We're good. We're good. Let's go. Get out. Thank you. All right, thanks for providing this to us. Oh, this is really nice to see the ray tracing. Look at that. Damn. And again, guys, really impressive results for an iGPU when using this technology because RT is super intensive. The previous best iGPU, which is the Radeon 890M, which I tested recently, this week actually. Go check that out if you haven't already. Yeah, that GPU I think got around 60 FPS, maybe less than that on average, at 1080p high settings in GTA Enhanced. Hello Jack, how's it going? Looking beautiful even during the nighttime. Good stuff, good to see you. But yeah, this is a massive jump in terms of performance, ray tracing performance as well compared to the previous best iGPU. Around here, it's dropping into the 50s, as you can see, 58, 59 there. It doesn't drop too much from 60, by the way. So it's still a pretty stable experience, even with the ray tracing enabled, even in bushy areas, in bushy situations, which are very intensive in this game. This is awesome. Next up is Fortnite at 1080p resolution using DirectX 12, the high settings preset with SMAA, but I did disable Nanite, which also disables Lumen, which is software ray tracing basically. And look at that, guys, the game seems to be running very smoothly, and it also looks really good. The colors pop a lot and so on with the high settings. You still got a lot of vegetation, you know, which is nice, and the draw distance of shadows and vegetation is also really good. Let's start counting our FPS here, and let's grab some, what is this? Mirrors extra spicy, whatever, something. Yes, okay, so we need to find some weapons. Alright, here we go. Alrighty. Buddy, come over here. There we go. Come on. I can do this. Yes, there we go. Alright, there's another guy coming at us. Yes. Good. Come on. Alright, it's a Huntrix girl. Okay, we got this. Did you watch the movie, by the way? I had to, because Digimon really wanted to. But it's a good movie indeed. Not my cup of tea, but it's not too bad. Hey, come on. Almost there. Come on. Oh, there's another one, actually, I think. Yeah, we need to be careful. I'm really low HP at the moment. Let me eat more Mira's X-ray, whatever. Extra spicy, yeah, not X-ray. I only have one bullet left. So this is terrible. Okay, I need to go. I need to move out of here. Let's go. But yeah, guys, everything seems to be really smooth. 146 FPS on average so far. 1% lows are a little bit lower. I did notice a couple of frame time spikes here and there, but I mean, that's not gonna be the end of the world, really, and compared to other versions of Fortnite, earlier versions, this is really smooth. This is also my first game that I'm playing here today, so yeah, I mean, this is the smoothest I have ever seen Fortnite in the first game of the day. This is also, oh boy, come on, yeah, no, bro, that was terrible. But this is also iGPU performance. Crazy stuff, right? Okay, let's check out another area of the game here. It's the snowy part, and it seems like it is less intensive than where we dropped, because we dropped in the middle of vegetation. Well, this guy is playing inside of a city, and the FPS aren't really dropping too much. They're pretty much the same as we've seen so far. So, again, guys, even on high settings, you can play the game absolutely fine. I bet that you could play the game even with ray tracing enabled, honestly. Maybe that will come in a later video. It's been a really long time since I played Fortnite in a dedicated Fortnite video, right? So let me know if that's something that you'd like to see here with this mini PC as well. And yeah, let's move on to the next game. Next is Forza Horizon 5. I'm playing at 1080p resolution using TAA, which looks very good in this game, and the extreme settings preset, guys. Alright, and I am glad to see that it is a high refresh rate experience pretty much all of the time. Look at this, 100 plus FPS here at the start of it. I'm gonna go to the most intensive area, of course, but I doubt it will drop a lot from what we're seeing here. Oh my god. Okay. And the fact that we can actually allocate more memory for the GPU itself means there isn't going to be a single stutter whatsoever VRAM related. Because if you're running like a RTX 4060, for example, I've tried that plenty of times, I think, here in Forza Horizon 5. And if you set the game to extreme settings, it actually goes over 8 GB of VRAM usage. In the city, it should consume a little bit more VRAM as well. And you would notice some stutters and some performance drops, basically, with a dedicated GPU that only has 8 GB of VRAM in this game, even at 1080p resolution. And here we go, we're arriving at the city, guys. And this is dropping slightly from 100 frames per second into the lower 90s at times, which still feels amazing, of course. It's buttery smooth, guys. There is no issue whatsoever with this game, only with my driving. Yes, let's go to the tunnel area here, which is one of the most intensive... Actually, it is the most intensive things that you can do in this game, getting out of the tunnel. It's very weird, I know. But it drops to 82 frames per second there in that scenario. That's going to be the bare minimum frame rate that you're going to get in this one. So, really gorgeous, really smooth, and just a fantastic experience here. It works really well with this iGPU. Next, we're playing Rust at 1080p resolution, utilizing the high settings preset, render scale set to 100%, so it's native res here. These are the settings. On the image effects, we're using SMAA as the anti-aliasing, and this is it right here. And don't forget to disable the most important setting, head bob. Alright, let's start counting our FPS. We got some loot, maybe, around here. Yeah, some bones. Alright, good stuff. Ooh! Ooh! Very nice. Okay. Holy crap. Okay, guys, so... Alright, here we go. We got this makeshift shotgun, which is not gonna do very well if we find someone with an actual weapon. But yeah, let's keep on going here. We're getting 60-ish% GPU utilization, which is a bit of a shame because, well, this game is just not that well optimized. You can see that it stutters a lot as well, and this is mainly due to the server being almost full. We can actually get 60 plus all of the time. It's not really dropping, I guess. It just drops down to like the low 60s, basically. Oh my! Okay. So we're gonna die now. Wait, that could have been just a turret. We should be fine, yes? Yes, I think so. Yeah, that was probably just a turret. So let's move in this direction. Also, as you play the game and load the entire map, the less stuttery it will become. I remember this game being super stuttery back in the days, but I pushed through, you know. I played the game a lot with my friends, and at one point I had the entire map loaded in, and it didn't really stutter too much anymore. But yeah, right now it's really inconsistent, getting 28 FPS, 1% low, 64 on average. It's starting to drop as well from 60 FPS sometimes, getting down into the 50s. Again, I was expecting a little bit better, honestly. At least we have enough VRAM, right? Look at that, by the way. On high settings, it can allocate 17 gigabytes of VRAM and 20 of RAM. That's crazy. Like, this game requires an optimization patch for yesteryear, not even yesterday. Next up is Battlefield 5 at 1080p resolution using the Ultra settings preset. And guys, just look at those frame rates. Look at that frame time graph as well. It is buttery smooth. It looks great. And the game is almost ending. We got 30 tickets left. All right. We can do this. We can do this probably. Come on. Come on. All right, there we go. We destroyed the tank. Where's the enemy, though? Big explosion, fire effects, super vibrant and detailed, this game. The only complaint that I have is the anti-aliasing. TAA just looks really bad in this one, unfortunately. Well, that was quite the fast round. Let's play another one. All right, guys, here we go. Let's start counting our FPS. Look at this. It's just so buttery smooth. All of the Battlefield games, actually, are so smooth, and you should definitely play them on a system like this. The CPU is amazing for it. The GPU, I mean, yeah, it's maxing out in this particular map over here. Oh boy. And it doesn't really have a problem whatsoever, of course. Come on, okay. We got a couple of kills here. Let's push them bastards. All right. All good. That flank is real, my friends. Oh boy, there are more of them behind us. Oh no! We got killed with a knife. Oh boy. Come on. All right, we're good. Let's go. One more down. They are over here on top, I think. Yes, one here, another one here. Okay. Double kill is real, and another one there. Come on. All right, we got this. More of them pushing us from that direction. Oh, this is terrible. We're being hit from everywhere, basically. There's the tank there. Can I get there with this? No, don't shoot at the tank. Are you stupid? What the heck? Yeah, boy! There we go! The flanking El Crespo is here, my friends, to save the day. There it is. That was awesome. The big explosions and the vibrant colors are just amazing in this game. And the smoothness of it, of course. And here we have Call of Duty Black Ops 7 Beta. We're playing this one at the 1080p resolution, utilizing the Ultra graphics settings and NIS on native. This is just sharpening the image, and yes, it's from NVIDIA, but it doesn't slow performance on this. I also set the texture resolution to high. The default is normal for this preset, but yeah, this is it. Let's try it out. And here we have it, guys. This is actually pretty much exactly the same as the RTX 4060 desktop GPU. This is amazing. That means that it's going to be a really smooth and solid experience here. High refresh rate pretty much at all times. We saw those explosions there, and it didn't really drop from like 90 FPS. So yeah, those are exactly the same results as that desktop GPU. This is great from an iGPU. Yeah, this game is really well optimized. It shows that they did care about PC performance here. It doesn't have a single stutter to speak of. It's just great. Yeah, I guess you could take a look at my RTX 4060 video in this one, and it's going to be pretty much the same performance here on this. Wow, look at that. So many effects and particles and so on. All right, there we go. Good, good, good. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, reload, please. We got a lot of people here, and they're all dying for that guy. Come on. Okay, there we go. That's the hard point, by the way. I need to get rid of all of the enemies. Oh, come on. Ah, that was close. And it is conclusion time. I'll still have more games running right here while we talk about the GMKtec EVO-X2. And this mini PC, man, it packs a punch, right? Especially compared to other mini PCs that I've tried here in the channel with APUs and integrated graphics. This is way faster than any of those, both in terms of graphics performance and in terms of CPU performance as well, with that 16-core beast of a processor inside. In terms of that price, 1,500 euros is very expensive for a mini PC, obviously, but honestly, compared to other mini PCs that I've been testing with like Radeon 890M priced at 1,000 euros, I tested two of those, a 50% higher price here in this one actually will give you more than 50% more performance. So this is still better value even though it's really expensive. But for 1,500 euros you can buy a laptop with like an RTX 5070, which will be better at gaming. But what you won't get in a laptop in that price point is 64 gigabytes of RAM and a 16-core CPU that's really adequate for everything you throw at it, even rendering work and other professional tasks that require a lot of CPU performance. So I think this has a place in the market, and if you want a mini PC that's powerful enough to play some games and has all of these very nice specs, this is actually a really good mini PC, guys. I really enjoyed testing it out and playing with that Radeon 8060S. I'll keep this one in my collection for sure and try it out from time to time with the latest AAA titles, so stay tuned in for that if you're interested in seeing it, and keep seeing it here in the channel. And yeah, with all of that said, I guess that's been it for this one. Thanks very much for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.